Every single purchase I make, I use my credit card, whether that's fuel, food, Amazon, PayPal, getting on the bus, you name it. And I don't do this because I'm broke or got no money in my bank account.
I've got nothing left.
I do this for a huge number of reasons because, quite frankly, spending on credit is much better than spending on debit, and that's not just my opinion, that's the law.
He knows what he's doing.
I am the law.
In this video, I'm going to run through all of the reasons why credit cards are a useful tool and why they give you that protection that I just mentioned. And I'll also explain why I think you should be using them too if you don't already. I'll also give you a bonus tip at the end if you're unable to use credit cards or for whatever reason want to avoid them completely, to give you a little bit of added protection when shopping online. If you find the video useful at any point, please do me a massive favor and turn that like button blue. Really helps small channels like mine grow and get this content out to more people. With that said, let's get straight into the video. So why wouldn't I want to use my debit card? Well, for me, it comes down to a couple of really key, simple points. And rather than me explain it, I'll let Frank Abagnale Jr. explain it to you in just a couple of moments. In case you don't know who Frank Abagnale Jr. is, he's a guy that Leonardo DiCaprio played in the film Catch Me If You Can. And he was the guy who traveled across the States and the rest of the world, defrauding people, credit card fraud, check fraud, money fraud, you name it. If there's anything worth knowing about fraud and protecting your identity, it's this guy. And thankfully, he's on the good side now, having spent time inside, and he's worked for the FBI since he's left and works to keep people like you and me safe. Let's go listen to what Frank has to say.
I don't own a debit card. Never owned one. I never allowed my sons to this day to have one. I found out a long time ago when writing a book, I asked myself a simple question: what truly is the safest form of payment, not only in this country, but many countries around the world? And that is a credit card. Credit card, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover card. Every day of my life, I spend their money. I never spend my money. My money sits in a money market account, earns interest. It's exposed to no one. So I go to the grocery store, I use my credit card. I go to the dry cleaner, I use my credit card. I got on the plane to come here, I use my credit card. I will do everything in my power to make sure no one gets my number. But if they do, and tomorrow they charge $1 million on my credit card, by federal law, my liability is zero. I have no liability. I don't worry when I buy something online, because if I buy it and they don't deliver it, the credit card company covers it. If I buy it and it's broken, they refuse to take it back, the credit card company covers it. So to me, the safest form of payment is a credit card. When you use a debit card, every time you use it, you're exposing the money in your personal account.
So I think we can sum this up in a couple of points here. It's all down to liability and security. Your debit card is directly connected to your bank account. So whether you've got £500 or £5,000 and including a £500 overdraft or a £10,000 overdraft, that debit card gives you access to all of that money whenever you want. Credit cards, on the other hand, have nothing to do with your bank account. You get a limit, and of course, as the name suggests, credit, because that money is being loaned to you from a credit card company. It has nothing to do with what's in your bank account, and you can go spend their money as and when you please, with a limit, of course. When you pay using your credit card, as you know, nothing comes out of your bank account because that payment is being authorized from the credit card provider. So their money is actually what's being used to pay for what you want. This is a really, really key important part of why spending on credit cards is more secure than spending on your debit card, for example. Let me take you through a very quick example. Let's go to a supermarket and go shopping. Okay, so we've gone up and down the aisles, we've filled up our baskets, we've got an identical set of baskets. I go down to the checkout, I pay with my credit card, and you pay with your debit card. We leave, we go home, happy days, right? Well, 7 days later, it turns out that that supermarket has been involved in a massive cybersecurity breach, and it turns out they've lost all their credit card information and payment information. Those chip and pin machines that you pay with have been hacked, and someone's managed to skim those card details right off it and go crazy spending online. A few days later, we both see a £1,000 charge on our cards. I, of course, see that on my credit card, and you see that on your debit card straight out of your bank account. I call up my credit card company, tell them there's been an unauthorized charge. They also say they're aware of it as well, have cancelled my card already, and are going to send me a new one out in the post. And in the meantime, I just spend on another credit card that I've got to go ahead my normal day-to-day life, and everything's fine. With you, on the other hand, unfortunately, that £1,000 was all you had in your bank account, and now you're left with nothing. You've got bills to pay, you've got other things that need paying, and you don't even have an overdraft. So you've called up your bank, you've told them that there's £1,000 charge that wasn't you. They said no problem at all, we'll cancel that off for you, but it'll be a couple of days to get that all sorted, and also we need to send you a new card and cancel your account. So while I'm going around everything fine with my different credit card and I can go about my day-to-day business, you're stuck there with no access to money at all, having to borrow money potentially off friends or family, or go into some serious debt. So not only is that a financial pain, but that's really, really frustrating to deal with, and it's going to keep you awake at night and cause you a huge amount of stress. And in both the UK and the US, that's protected in law. And in the UK, we're protected under what's called the Consumer Credit Act of 1974. And I'll read section 83 for you, rather than go through the whole thing, because it's really, really boring. But section 83 says, the debtor, that's you or me when using a credit card, under a regulated consumer credit agreement shall not be liable to the creditor for any loss arising from use of the credit facility by another person not acting or to be treated as acting as the debtor's agent. So basically, if anyone tries to do us over or steals our information and uses it without our authority, or us telling them they can do that, then we're not liable whatsoever. The law protects us, the debtor, by making us have zero liability whatsoever. Now, that doesn't protect you if you give out your credit card information willingly to someone else, or if you let your kids buy as many V-Bucks as they want on Fortnite. Unfortunately, that one's on you. Another really powerful protection we get as part of the law in the UK and over in the US as well, slightly differently, is protection against faulty goods or services, or if companies go out of business. This one's really, really important. Listen to this one. So there's some great stories out there about people that have put different deposits down and companies have gone bust. And this is another famous section in that Consumer Credit Act that we just spoke about, called Section 75. So remember that one. It effectively says that faulty products that are not as described, products that are not delivered as promised, or when a trader or retailer goes bust, you are protected from amounts from £100 to £30,000. And the best part of that is you don't even have to use your credit card for the full amount. So for example, there've been countless cases of people buying a new kitchen, for example, or a used car, where they just put their credit card down for the deposit. So they use their credit card for a £500 deposit, spend £15,000 on a brand new kitchen. That company goes bust the next week. They're panicking, they're thinking, okay, I'm out of pocket by £15,000. No, because you use your credit card for that deposit, the credit card company is liable for that full amount to get you your refund. Can you imagine losing £15,000 buying a new kitchen from a company that then goes out of business on your debit card? You would be fuming. There's loads of other similar stories as well from used car dealerships. Again, people use their credit card for the deposit and pay off the full amount of the used car. The dealer goes bust, they're out of pocket 10, 15, 20,000 pounds. Luckily, they can go through their credit card company and get all of that cash back. It's brilliant. And that also applies again if something's broken, faulty, not as described. All those extra protections come because you're spending on credit rather than spending on your debit card. So this is really, really important. Take note of Section 75. Another tick in the box for me is credit scoring. Credit cards are a great... can't even say great. Credit cards are a great way to build up your credit score and show to the credit agencies that you're able to pay off debt every single month consistently and on time. It shows that you're a responsible borrower. It shows that you're a responsible borrower and you're able to effectively manage your money. And of course, you don't get any of that by spending on your debit card. Nobody got their credit score going up by using their debit card and everything. A credit card is a really great way to build up your credit score, making sure that you use it responsibly. And that's the key here. If you can't use it responsibly, then it's probably not best for you. Or maybe I'd advise using a very, very small limit on a credit card just to get yourself used to it, because I know how difficult it is. And I've got first-hand experience in this. I remember when I was 18, one of the first things I thought was, right, I'm going to get a credit card because I'm going to do it for all the right reasons. I want to build up my credit score, and then eventually when I get a mortgage and I'm going to get a house, I've got this great credit story to go back on. Well, of course, when you're 18, do you think you really know what to do with money? No, of course not. I see I think it was like a £1,200 limit. So I think, oh, I'll just buy that, and then I'll buy that. Oh yeah, I'll just buy that. And before you know it, you've got £500-600 worth of debt. And there was no way I was going to pay that off with my part-time job when I was at uni, was I? Obviously, you can tell by my receding hairline that was a long, long time ago since I was at university. And since then, I've learned a lot better about how to manage my own finances and manage credit cards. So from now on, I pay everything off in full by direct debit at the end of each month. so I incur no interest at all and get all the benefits that I've just spoken about. Finally, there's a couple of other things which I think are really cool too and really, really useful, and that's cashback or some of the other introductory offers that credit card companies use to kind of entice you into their brand. So firstly, cashback. Now, I know we're not talking huge sums here, but of course there's cards out there which can give you 0.5% or 1% back on some of your purchases, and so long as there are things that they were going to spend money on in the first place and you're not going crazy, what's not to like getting a bit of free money back? And also some credit cards, of course, like American Express, have point systems, and I have in the past used those points to upgrade flights on previous holidays. Do you remember those days when we could actually go on holiday? Those were the days. Those were the days. So yeah, I used those points one time to upgrade flights, had a great time, and did it cost me anything else? No, because I was spending that money anyway. Secondly, on the introductory offer side, now again, if you use them responsibly, they can be a great way to consolidate your debt. Let's say, for example, that you've built up a bit of credit card debt and you're paying 15% interest on that credit card debt. It may be wise and it might be possible to transfer all that debt to a 0% balance transfer offer and make sure you use that time window to pay off all your debt. Now, if you can use that, that's fantastic. 0% interest, just get that debt nailed down. And you remember I spoke about in one of my other videos how important it is to pay off high interest debt. That's one of the first things you should do before you even think about investing or doing anything else. Pay off that high interest debt. Okay, so those are all the great reasons to use them, and I appreciate that won't work for everyone. So let me now talk about a couple of the negative effects and about how we can potentially counter them. So all of the benefits here are only really good if you're able to pay off your balance in full every month. The moment you start paying interest to credit card companies, I'm afraid that's how they make all their money. They rely on people like you and me who can't really afford to pay off our balance, and we spent a bit too much. So that small amount of interest keeps accruing up month after month, year after year, and before we know it, we're in a bit of a horrible cycle of debt. If you've been tempted to spend more than you can afford, or you've got a horrible history of using credit cards, then they might not be for you for the moment until you're able to feel comfortable again using them, because I know how tempting they can be. I've been there, I've done that. And there have been various studies that have found out that those people that spend on credit cards just in a shop or buying anything at all do tend to spend a lot more money than those who are handling cash. I guess it's that physical thing, isn't it? When you're holding physical cash, you think, oh, that's quite a lot of money actually, £100 there. 5 £20 notes, but on a credit card it's just put your PIN number in and you're gone. And also, because you don't think about it and you don't get the bill for a month's time, you're thinking, well, I've got loads of money in my bank account, haven't I? The study I've got here on my iPad speaks about Dun & Bradstreet, who did one saying that people spend 12 to 18% more when using credit cards instead of cash. And the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston also found out that the average value of a cash transaction was $22 versus $112 for non-cash transactions. So just be aware of that. All comes down to self-control and discipline. If you can manage this correctly, you can get all of those benefits without the downsides. But I know I'm talking about the best case scenario here, but just bear with me. So just remember that although you are spending someone else's money, that money is a loan and does effectively have to be paid back at some point. So do not consider it free money. It's someone else's, treat it like your own, but you get all the benefits that I've mentioned above as long as you can use your credit responsibly. But personally, I think it's a great way forward. So I promised at the beginning, I'll give you a bonus tip if you can't use credit cards at all. And that tip I'll give you is something called virtual cards. So there's different online banks and different platforms like Monzo, for example, who allow you to create what's called virtual cards. So say if you're spending online, on Amazon, on PayPal, on eBay. Now, rather than using your debit card for all of those and exposing your card out there on dozens of different websites, if you create a virtual card, you effectively get a whole new 16-digit number, but that's tied back to your account and a different pot of money in your account. So you can produce as many virtual cards as you like. I think some of these platforms allow you to produce hundreds and hundreds of them and maybe have a different virtual card for the different spending platforms that you're doing as a way to protect you. At the end of the day, although you might get that money back, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, The annoying thing would be if your bank account has no money left in it and you're waiting for a couple of days for your bank to refund you or something like that, and you're waiting for another card in the post and you've got bills to pay. And that's a situation we really want to avoid. So if you want to do a bit more research on that, have a Google for virtual cards. There's loads of platforms out there, but it might be a good way to help protect your identity and look after yourself, because unfortunately it's always on the rise with identity theft and all kinds of criminal stuff going on at the moment. So just keep your wits about you and look after your own money. So there you have it. The reason I think you should use credit cards over any other form of payment. Honestly, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm barking up the wrong tree here? Do you think I'm absolutely mad? Let me know in the comments below if you weren't even aware of some of these protections that you've got, or you're thinking you might actually benefit and be able to boost your credit score, for example. Let me know. If you've enjoyed the video, drop me a like. It really helps the channel and I really appreciate it. Subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one.